This is going to blow your mind. Imagine a place where the line between reality and the supernatural blurs, where every shadow holds a secret, and every whisper could be a cry for help. A school, a curse, and a teacher on the edge. This is the story of a seemingly ordinary place turned into a nightmare. Mrs. Thompson was the heart of the local elementary school, teaching for over 20 years. She was beloved by students and respected by colleagues, a beacon of stability in an ever-changing world. But one night, as the halls lay silent, she heard it, the desperate cries of children. The sound was faint at first, almost like a distant echo, but it grew louder, more insistent, filling the empty corridors with a sense of dread. At first she thought it was her imagination. After all, schools can be eerie places at night. But the cries grew louder, more tormented, as if the very walls were weeping. Alone in her classroom, a voice whispered, "Mrs. Thompson, help us." The words sent a chill down her spine, freezing her in place. She looked around but saw nothing. The room was empty, yet the feeling of being watched was overwhelming. Then, cold drafts swept through the room, and ghostly children with pale faces and wide eyes appeared. Their presence was both heartbreaking and terrifying. "Help us, Mrs. Thompson," they whispered again. Their voices were filled with a sorrow that seemed to echo through time. Years ago, a tragic fire had claimed the lives of several students. The memory of that day was etched into the fabric of the school, a scar that never healed. Now, their spirits seemed to haunt her, blurring the lines between past trauma and present horror. The weight of their loss pressed down on her, making it hard to breathe. Desperate, she sought help, but no one believed her. Her colleagues dismissed her experiences as stress or overwork, leaving her isolated in her fear. The whispers grew urgent. "You cannot leave us," they cried. Their desperation was palpable, a plea that cut through the silence like a knife. Her sanity cracked as spectral forms haunted her every move. The once familiar hallways became a maze of terror, each corner hiding a new horror. One night, the whispers turned to roars. "Save us, Mrs. Thompson." The intensity of their cries was unbearable, a cacophony of pain and fear. She saw the faces of the children, twisted in pain. Their eyes pleaded with her, begging for release from their torment. She screamed, but no one heard. Her cries echoed through the empty halls, a haunting symphony of despair. Fleeing the school, she locked herself in her room, begging for it to stop. The walls seemed to close in on her, the darkness pressing down like a physical weight. Then, a blinding light filled her room, pushing the darkness away. It was as if the very air had been cleansed, the oppressive weight lifted. She realized the school harbored a dark evil, feeding on fear and suffering. This malevolent force had been awakened by the tragedy, growing stronger with each passing year. She gathered others who had experienced similar torment, uncovering the truth behind the whispers. Together they pieced together the history of the school, revealing a pattern of unexplained events and untimely deaths. As they returned to the school, Mrs. Thompson felt unseen eyes upon her, but knew she wasn't alone. The presence of her newfound allies gave her strength, a beacon of hope in the darkness. And you, dear listener, have you ever felt whispers in an empty room? The sensation of being watched when you know you're alone. Cold drafts that chill you to the bone. The feeling that something unseen is lurking just out of sight. You're not alone. There's something out there, something evil. It feeds on fear, growing stronger with each frightened heartbeat. Don't let it win. Find others who believe you. Together you can fight the darkness. Stand united, and you can push back the shadows, reclaiming the light.